Today I'll be morphing an average acrylic pour painting into a dazzling piece of art using some not so common products like Epsom Salt and some very well known products like UV resin and Dawn dish soap. Combining these products together will create a dazzling bucket of bling that will surely knock your socks off. Hello, my friends. Welcome back to another video. So in last week's video, you saw me create this painting with the new Purely pigments, and I told you I wanted to show you how you can use these to do multiple things other than just what I did. So I mentioned you can use them for acrylic pouring to color your Floetrol or your pouring medium with. You can use them to tint your resin. You can use them in mixed media art, texture art, for brush painting. So many uses. So what I want to do today is I want to finish up this painting using these Purely pigments in a few different ways. And at the end of this video, I'm going to show you something new that I got from my fish tank that inspired me to make this painting. One thing I want to mention about using this product when creating these dendrites, you have to make sure you get a majority of the color that you put down in the center to work its way out with the rubbing alcohol. If you did not see last week's video, just go to my channel, look in the videos, you'll see last week's video of me making this. And I'll try to remember to link it in the description as well. But when you put the color down, you have to keep adding the alcohol until the center is pretty much worked its way out. Because what will happen if you don't get enough out is it will leave a little cracking effect like this. Not a big deal. I'm going to be able to work with it. And some people like that look because it adds to the overall painting. It looks a little interesting, like it's crackled. But if you don't want that to happen, like right here, you see, I left too much green. I should have kept adding a little bit more alcohol and worked that out. But the thing with that too is the more alcohol you add, the bigger the blooms get. And then they start running into each other. Like you see here, they start mingling the colors, which is also a cool effect like this right here. But some people don't want that. They want them to be standalone on their own. So if you want just small little flowers, I would recommend only like 1 or 2 drops of that Purely pigment and then just keep dripping the alcohol on until you see it's worked its way out. But anyway, let me get set up and then we'll get started. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of my Purely pigments. I'm going to put a little bit of the first color I'm going to use onto the paper plate. Just a little dab of it. I don't need much of it because all I want to do is just add a little tiny bit of color back into the center of the flowers with a paintbrush before I get to adding in the other stuff. So I just put a few drops there, nothing big. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to spray, I think, a little bit of water just to water it down. So I don't want a lot of deep pigment. Like a lot of it, just a little wash of that color, we'll say. So I have this little brush that has the cutouts on it. And also I'm wearing a glove because I resin my paintings and I don't want to get my lotioned hands all over the front of this painting while I'm painting. And because that will make the resin reject the oils. So I always wear a glove when I paint. And all I want to do is just, like I said, add in a little more color. It's going to be very faint. I don't know if you can even see it. I'm just kind of brushing it outwards, just to make that center look a little more impressive. See how nice that works? Just kind of flicking it outwards. This way it looks like there's a little more oomph there. All right. And we can even, if we want to, even though this is a darker, that might have been a blue that I used. Let's see. Maybe the Perfect Peacock. Let's try to use a little bit of that in there. Again, I'm just putting a little dab on the plate. Spritzing with a little bit of water. Let's see here. We could kind of fill in those cracks if we want to, so that you don't see them, and make the center a little more solid. Although I'm going to be doing something totally different with these centers, so it really doesn't matter. We can even add a little bit in the center here like this. See how strong they are? Like, I haven't had to reload the brush at all. So because I did a lot of repetitive work, I decided to speed some of this up. So I'm just going to explain to you, the few steps that I do in this video here. I just went around and kind of livened up those centers. Again, I'm going to be doing something on top of that area, so it's not really that important, but I wanted to make sure that if I decided not to do what I had in my head, that at least there was color in there if I decided to go a different route. So I did that to a few of the flowers. And then it was time to make my special concoction of bling. So last week I told you I wanted to show you different uses for these purely pigments. So what I have in this cup is some Epsom salt, some diamond dust, and some glitter. I did a 50-50 mix of the diamond dust and the Epsom salt, and then I put like 2 pinches of glitter into the cup. Now I'm mixing up some KS resin. If you're interested in resin, I do have a discount code for it down in the description. And what I wanted to make was almost like a druzy crystal center on these objects. I keep calling them flowers, but they're not flowers, and I don't want to give away what they are just yet. So I'm going to refer to them as flowers, but know that they are not flowers. So here we go. I'm taking some of the purely pigments, and I'm just taking a toothpick because they are super strong. And I'm just putting the tip of the toothpick into the pigment and mixing it through the resin. You can use these products for resin also, to tint your resin. So I mixed that through, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't deep enough. So I got a clean toothpick, put a little bit more in, and that was the perfect shade for me. So now what I did was I took some of that concoction in the cup, put a little bit into that tinted resin, and was able to make druzy crystals the shade that I wanted them to be, which is that beautiful teal color. And I made 4 cups of this stuff, and let me tell you something, it is fantastic. Now, you may be saying, why are you using Epsom salt, Tammy? The reason why I use it is it's a great substitute to create a large amount of crystals. Instead of using the very expensive diamond dust, I can just substitute some of the diamond dust with the Epsom salt and save a lot of money in product. So a bag of Epsom salt is $6. That little tub of diamond dust is $10. So you can see here, you can make this beautiful druzy crystal concoction that when it dries, it looks just like the cluster inside of a geode. So what I wanted to do was place some of this concoction into the center of my flowers that aren't flowers and have a just very rough looking center to them. I wanted a lot of bling. So as you saw, I made 4 colors of this, and you don't need much resin. I mixed up 2 ounces, and I probably used only an ounce of the resin to make 4 colors. You just want enough to wet it down. You want it to be nice and thick, and you want it to not be so thick that it, well, let me take that back. If you don't want it to lose its shape, then you want it really, really thick. If you want it to level out and be flat, then you want it thick, but let it plop off the stick. Like when you hold up the stick, it'll just kind of plop off the stick, and you'll know you're at the right spot. So basically, this is just a mixed media piece. I'm using all kinds of products and techniques to just kind of make it a little more interesting. I had a Chameleon paint pen there, a 3D paint pen where I did some little dot work on those little purple ones. Now I'm whiting out some areas where I'm going to be doing the prismatic effect on some of them. Yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. I'm just using the end of a paintbrush there to do some dot work with some white acrylic paint. And I decided to change the color and the center of a few of these flowers that aren't flowers. And I just wanted to show you can use this stuff also to paint, just like as a regular paint. It's very thin and extremely pigmented, so you don't need much. Here I'm using it to do a little dot work, and then I'll use it on another one of them to just, fill in the center. I wanted to just make a fun painting, just have some fun, not really worry about perfection or anything like that. Something that was representative of what I'm about to show you that I got in my fish tank, and, just something that had a lot of color in it. Once I was done doing this, I broke out the UV resin and decided to do the prismatic technique on some of these. And I was so happy I did this, especially that big blue one there that I painted that I'm working on now. The color was just, I cannot wait for you to see it. Came out so beautiful. So what the prismatic effect or prismatic technique is you take some UV resin, you put it down wherever you want it. You take Dawn dish soap, put it in a bowl, agitate it with water to create bubbles, and then you scoop the bubbles off the top. You lay them on top of the wet UV resin. This has to be UV resin for it to work, not regular resin. And you put a UV light over it for 60 seconds. And then once the light is done curing it, you remove the foam, pat it dry, and you have the most beautiful bubble texture. So here I am putting the light on for 60 seconds, but because I don't want you to wait 60 seconds, I have sped it up tenfold. So you're only seeing 10 seconds here. But anyway, see, so now 60 seconds has passed. Pull the foam off, put it back into your bowl because you can reuse it. And then pat it dry, and I'm going to show you what this looks like. The special thing about this is you can leave it just as you see it now, or you can break out some mica powders or chameleon pigments like I'm about to use and really make it shimmer. So you can use a pigment, or you can actually use these purely pigments, the liquid ones, because they do come in metallic colors, and that will really make it sparkle too. I wanted to show you with the chameleon pigments because I had painted the underneath with the purely pigment already. So I thought that was just, too much. I wanted it to pop a little bit more. So as you can see, by brushing that over the surface, dry brushing, by the way, I'm not adding any glue or anything, just the surface of those bubbles will pick up any type of mica powder or chameleon flake product because of the texture. Look at that. That is just so stunning. And once I saw that, I really got motivated and decided to make those all over the place on the painting. But you can see all the sparkle, how pretty it is. And it's just really something unique and fun to play with. So I did those on the canvas, and then here we are. I'm all done decorating it. I decided to draw a piece of coral in there and add a little more of that mango color that's in the purely pigments line. I can't remember if it's my mango or it's something. I'll pop it up on the screen, the color. But I wanted to get a little more of that color in there. So I drew the piece of coral in and painted it and then did the bubble texture all over that as well. But look at all this dazzling, sparkling beauty. Now, I'm going to show you what this looks like with resin on it. I like to leave it without the resin. I don't know. I like the way it looks without it, but I wanted to show you what it looked like when you resin the surface. You still will see all the texture and all that. It's a personal preference. It depends on what you like. So here we go. This is some KS Liquid Art Ultra UV resin, and I am pouring it over the surface. Going to spread it out with my hand, and then I'm going to let this cure for 24 hours, and then I'll be showing you the finished results. However, before I show you those finished results, I've been telling you for 2 weeks now I got some new things in my tank, and one thing specifically inspired me to create this painting. So, without further ado, let me introduce you to my new friends. This, ladies and gentlemen, is Flossie, my anemone. Isn't she so beautiful? And that right there is Rocky, her porcelain crab buddy that lives inside of her all the time and feeds her, protects her, and it's just so amazing to have these types of things in my tank now. This is a feather duster, aka a cocoa worm. It's a little worm that lives in a tube that has a fancy headdress. That headdress actually feeds from the water column, and it goes in and out. It's the cutest thing. It gets spooked sometimes, and the head just zips right back into the shell. And we're just getting really deep into this now. This is little Bubble, my goby, his little pistol shrimp friend that is with him, and little hermit crabs crawling around there and having a good time. There's Lolly poking her head out of a piece of pipe I had to put in there because poor Bubble got kicked out of his home under the rock there, and he had nowhere to go, so I got him some PVC pipe to swim through, but now Lolly's swimming through it, and it's like the wild, wild west of the underwater world here in this house. It's just all the things happening. It's just so interesting to watch and to learn about. and to, take care of. I just absolutely love it. But anyways, everybody's thriving and surviving. Leo's still doing good. He's getting really fat. And yeah, it's so much fun. But anyway, as I said, this painting was inspired by my new anemone. And Rocky here is wishing you a happy, happy day. So let's see the final piece. So here is Dance of the Anemones. Just a fun little piece that I was able to create using the Purely Pigments product. And it's an artistic, not a realistic depiction of some cute little anemones floating around the little piece of coral. I had such a good time making this, and it's just something to relax and de-stress to, just like acrylic pouring is and every other piece of art is that we create. Now, next week, I want to make sure you come back because I'm going to be making some products that you can create yourself and earn some money selling. So make sure you are subscribed and you ring that notification bell to be notified for next week's video. Also, in relation to the SeaWorld here that we've been talking about for the last couple of weeks, I have a friend who has an axolotl that she needs to find a home for. Now, it wasn't her axolotl. It was her friend's axolotl that's moving, and she took it temporarily to help him out, and he cannot take it now. So she needs to find a home for it. So if you're in the Florida area or you want to work with her on, getting it shipped to you, she is open to giving this away to a good owner, of course. I'll have a picture at the end of this video of Miss Rosie, the axolotl. And they're kind of weird, but they're really cute too. So let me give you a quick peek at Rosie. Now, I know many of you probably have not seen an axolotl, so don't be shocked. To me, they look like a hairless water rat, but some people find them cute. Anyway, she is in Florida, Naples, Florida, looking for a good home for this little girl. Free tank, beautiful tank. All the equipment comes with it. So if you're interested in adopting Rosie for free, the information is in the description. Don't forget, water rats need love too. All right, my friends, thank you so very much for joining me. And until next Sunday, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, happy pouring.